Brock Rops. He is Alderman Ward 1.
Ward 2.
2, I'm sorry, Ward 2. We have Billy Welch with us this evening, as well as Greg Poppinga. And then as part of our design team, we have Mitch Mergen from Stockwell Engineers, David Locke from Stockwell, and then Doug Whitaker from Water Technologies. And then after a short time, we will have Toby Morris with us. He is with Doherty and Company, and he'll be able to help with some of the finance bonding questions. He'll be here shortly to help with that once we get to that point. So we will start our presentation with the project history, a design overview, public outreach, and then funding, and then we will get into the question and answer session. Some of you may have gotten comment cards, so if you would please fill those out and then turn them back into us at the end of the evening before you leave. So now I will turn it over to David to start.
All right, I'll talk. I like to talk a little louder, and so I like to use my hands while I go through the presentation. So I'll try and hover by the mic as much as I can, but for the most part, hopefully, can you guys hear me well enough? Yeah. Okay. As Amanda said, my name is David Locke. I'm a landscape architect with Stockwell Engineers, and as a part of this design for the new pool, new aquatic facility, it starts with the citizens, the city of Lennox, and you guys forward thinking in terms of thinking about what is the future of our community and what is it going to look like 10, 15 years from now. And we are your city engineer and we've worked with you guys for a while, and so we led this design effort as a part of looking at a new aquatic facility. As Amanda introduced, we also have Doug Whitaker here with Water Technologies working with us. And we also utilized the expertise of MSH, who are architects in Sioux Falls. We have worked with Doug and MSH on other projects as well, so we're familiar with each other and familiar with working together to deliver you guys a great product. Before we get into the design though, I want to give Doug a moment here to talk about Water Technology, a little bit about their firm. They're a company that has not only nationwide experience, but international experience when it comes to designing and building pools. And I'm going to turn over to Doug here for a minute just to talk a little bit about his company.
Hello everybody, can everybody hear me okay? Water Technologies is the international aquatics design firm. And we have the fortunate opportunity to work with groups just like yours. We do about, believe it or not, between 120 to 150 new pools each year. And that's because they're really important for communities. They help quality of life for communities. And I know you have a little bit different situation here in Lennox, because I know when we were starting to do the master plan, we were hoping that we were going to get another 5, 10 years or whatever out of our existing pools so we could fundraise for a new pool. Well, unfortunately, the circumstance has changed. And one of the things every community faces is they have to go through a process where they get community input to be able to fund this, because every community has to come up with the funds to do that, and most of the time it's through bond referendums. The other thing that helps maintain these types of facilities is to have fees to enter into the facilities. Even though the community has to pay for it, there's supposed to be fees for the maintenance of it. So that's something that every community has to understand. That's how this process works. And so I just want to make sure that Water Technology has the opportunity to see a lot of different communities and work with a lot of communities. But again, it's really a pleasure to be here because of the fabric of the community oftentimes is developed by the culture within the community.
So now we're going to go through, we're going to step back in time a little bit to where the project started. And it started back in 2015 with the Westerman Park Master Plan. And looking at the park as a whole, So to think about, okay, is the pool and is the aquatic facility in its best location? And came up with a couple different alternatives, one of which there is in the middle, and that looked at relocating the pool to a different location. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something that could be afforded, and we wanted to be able to provide a more economical product. And so, for end of last year, end of 2016, we started working with Doug and working on a master plan for the pool staying in its current location. So not keeping the existing pool, but keeping it in its same location that it currently is right now. And then at the end of this month, in a couple weeks, will be the bond vote, and then moving forward beyond that. So as a part of the master plan, this concept plan for the aquatic facility, we looked at the area in red up on your screen here, which encompasses the existing pool and the area that fronts to Main Street, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Contains a lot of mature trees in this area, existing facility, the existing bathhouse. So we were really looking at the area north of Park Drive. So that's the area that we concentrated our efforts on. Before we put pen to paper, we wanted to be able to understand what it is that you guys currently have, what it is that works for you guys, and what you want to see in the future before we started working on design. And that's something that with water technology and Doug we like to call purpose-driven design. And we want to understand the community and what your wants and needs are before we start our design. Because we can come up with a lot of great ideas and a lot of great features and make it large and extravagant, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't meet the needs of the community, if it doesn't meet your wants, your expectations, both for today and the future, then we've missed the mark. And that starts with public input. And we did that as a part of the Westerman Park Master Plan, and we did that again as a part of the concept plan that you're about to see in a moment. So we went through this pool programming exercise where we met with stakeholders, we had a public meeting, and to talk about, okay, what are the programs that you would like to utilize this facility for? And those that were selected, we've highlighted in blue there. We went through pool types. What are the different pool types that you would like to see as a part of this aquatic facility? And then finally, the features. What are the features that you want to see in this facility? Zero depth entry, interactive split, interactive water springs, a water slide. Those are all elements that as a community and a stakeholder standpoint was at the forefront of our design. So we utilize this information to start working on a concept plan, which you'll see in its final rendition here in a moment. So this is your existing aquatic facility. And we wanted to overlay the new facility over top of the existing facility so that you guys can get a little understanding when it comes to scale of the project. I can kind of toggle back and forth a little bit. So you can see we're keeping the pool mainly to that area that's on the west side of the planning limits. And so the east side, the area that fronts to Main Avenue, that was done with purpose, done with intent. We wanted the entrance of the pool, the pool house, to be brought closer to the park, to be more interactive with the park, and also to be more visible from Main Street. You guys are going to have this beautiful new Main Street that'll be completed here. And what better way to have your new pool aquatic facility front onto your new Main Street, your new first impression of Lenox. And so that's why the pool house here is situated here on the east side. As you come in to the facility, large deck space on the east and the north side of the zero depth entry. This area right here would be zero depth entry. And when we look at aquatic facilities and the design and the layout of those, we like to keep a lot of deck space really on the north and the east side of the aquatic facility. And that's because people like to sit and sunbathe where they face the sun. Those are the most popular areas where people like to hang out when they're at a pool. And so there's ample deck space as you come into the facility and then as you wrap around the east and the north side. So with the zero depth entry here, the water elevation would slowly step down as you move into the pool. To the south end, the little bulb out off of the zero depth entry would be a location for a future water play structure. That play structure would be off to the south a little bit, out of the main flow of traffic. Kind of gives it its own area, its own definition as a part of the pool. Provides ample space around the edge of it for parents to sit on the edge, watch the kids that are interacting with the play structure, and provides an area that's a little bit out of the way. As you continue to go down in elevation to 3 foot, 4 foot, 5, and eventually 12, this area here is really set up for potentially three lap lanes that can be utilized. And that's your open play area. There's a number of different features that could be incorporated into that in the future, whether that's with basketball hoops or lily pads. There's different things that you can utilize to engage kids in this area. And then of course the diving board. The diving board was a very popular feature from the Westerman Park Master Plan, but also from the concept plan that we developed as a part of this facility that you guys had a hand in planning with. To the north part of that would be a future water slide. The water slide would come into a runout at the bottom. There's really two different ways that you can do a water slide. One is into a plunge area. So if you would have the water slide dump into the roughly 3 to 3.5 foot deep water, or there you do the water slide in the way that we have it shown, which is into a runout where you come into a flat area with just a couple inches of water in it. The reason for that is that the runout slide only takes one lifeguard to operate. Whereas with the plunge area, you have to have somebody up at the top telling people when to go, but then you also need somebody at the bottom when they come out into the deeper water. If you get someone that comes down the slide that struggles to get to the side or struggles to swim a little bit, you need to have a lifeguard there in order to assist them. And so with the run out, you only have one lifeguard at the top. So we thought about these different design techniques, these design elements, as a part of the master plan, but also your operational costs and what it's going to take to run this facility in the future. We also incorporated turf areas on the north side and along the south side. I don't know if it's easy to depict out there, but this gray line here would be where the fence would run, which would encompass the aquatic facility. We wanted to make sure that we provided users a variety of options. Just like when you come to the pool, you have a variety of different options in terms of play features and places to sit. We also want to give you different options, whether it's on the deck or on turf grass. And turf grass is a great people holder for when it comes to families that are there or older people, older kids that want to kind of be out of the way of the main activity zone. So it provides them that opportunity to have options for both deck space and turf space. Then the pool house is something that we'll get into when we got a little more detailed slide for that. So all of these costs as part of the new aquatic facility, including the pool house and the pool, but understanding that the water slide and the play feature would be future, we estimate that to be approximately $2.8 million of construction. The pool house, situated there, this is where you would come in. That is in this location right here. You're coming in really on the southeast part of the pool house. It's coming right through here, this foiling gate where you have admissions, an office there for the lifeguards. And then instead of just a men's and a women's restroom, as a part of our public input process, we went through family restrooms. Was a big comment that people wanted to see incorporated into this facility. And that's not just unique to Lennox, that's unique to, or that's something that is a priority in a lot of different communities, is family restrooms. And so we've incorporated 2 family restrooms, your men's and women's restrooms, and then lockers along the outside where they're highly visible to the people that are utilizing the aquatic facility. Then a large area for pool equipment, maintenance, chemical storage, and that sort of thing. Then we also put together this perspective to help give people a sense of scale for the project. Just like we did with the toggling back and forth between the existing and proposed aquatic facility, we want to be able to show you what this potentially could look like in the future once it's built. So it gives you guys a little bit of a sense of scale. You can see a 6-foot person there along the deck chairs, people interacting with the future play structure, the future water slide, and really paints a great image of what this facility could look like here in the future. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Brock.
Thanks, Dave. I talk loud and I also like the mic. So I've been on council. My name is Brian Rops, 420 South Academy Street, and I've been on council for about 2 months. Most of you know who I am. But really what we're trying to do just in the last night and tonight is, one, give you the facts of what we're trying to get accomplished and squash any kind of rumor from finances to whatever else that might be floating out there. And number 2, I mean, I just believe as a council member that we're trying to turn the tide in terms of making it a positive community, positive city council, and really opening the lines of communication up between the community and the city council. Because it hasn't been great in the past, it's going to be much better in the future, and this is just one project of many that we as a city council are going to be much more transparent about in terms of Lennox's future. And this is just one thing. And so I'm going to speak to you a little bit about how we came up necessarily with this concept, kind of other pools in the area, new pools that have been put in the last 5 years, kind of what they cost, and then we'll open it up for some questions. So this is the handout of the brochure that you received in the mail this last week. And you know, something that I pointed out last night is like, this is just a design start. This is where we're going to start from, and this is a starting point from how we're going to fund it to what it's going to look like, and we're going to ask for some input on you, and depending on what happens on August 22nd, you know, we'll take other steps depending on how that vote goes. But just keep in mind that this particular design, which a lot of us really like, isn't necessarily the final thing, but that's where we're going to start. In terms of being able to open, I mean, we're looking at an opening of 2019. Most of the pools around here that have been put in, when you look at Beersford, if you look at Platt, if you look at Vermillion, I mean, they're 8 to 10 years in the making. We're in a different situation, and that's tough. That's tough. As a city council, we're not trying to push anything onto the community. We've got infrastructure issues. That's kind of been our main focus, and when a survey was done, even before I got here in 2010, a survey was actually put out. What is important to the citizens? And like 1, 2, and 3 in terms of the first 3 priorities: streets, roads, sidewalks, all infrastructure based. And in order to complete or to keep that a priority, and our sewer system's bad, in order to keep that a priority, this is the best way to fund this for the city as a whole. And we'll talk more about that when we get into the bond and speaking to that. Because if we're going to try to do this a different way, something's got to be taken out of our 5-year plan. And I'll show you what that 5-year plan looks like, and I won't bore you with all the infrastructure issues, but just to show you kind of where we're at and where we're coming from. So here are 4 pools. Platt isn't on here. Platt's about also $3 million, about $2.8 million. But Beersford just put theirs in. They opened up July 1. If you want to see one heck of a water facility, go to Beersford. I've taken my kids down there twice. I mean, it's unbelievable. And they built one for $5 million. Winter isn't on here either. They built one about 10 years ago, but 10 years ago they built one for about 1.6. Inwood, $3 million. Groton, which is similar to us, a little bit smaller than we are, built one for 2.6. Vermillion just opened up an aquatic facility this year for the first time. Or their new aquatic facility this summer was $6 million, and we're looking at a ballpark of $3 million. And hopefully it'll come in under that. A couple of different things about these facilities when compared to Lennox. One is the whole timeline in terms of how long they planned and how long they fundraised and financing for that pool. I mean, if we could put a pool in a decade, trust me, we'd be able to set aside money and get that done. My personal opinion, I mean, I'd love to have one sooner rather than later, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the community and what you feel is best. And I think if the question were asked, did Lennox need a pool? I think the majority last night says, yes, we do. How we go about funding that now is the next big question. And I'm a proponent for it, but I understand the 225, I get that. That's a lot of money. I understand that. I'm a taxpayer. All my taxes seem to go to things under the street, which drives me nuts. And I just want some kind of an amenity that we could utilize to help make Lennox grow a little bit. I said last night, Lennox is like a perfect porridge community. Rural America is dying. And because we're so close to Sioux Falls, Lennox won't ever have that issue. But the more residents we bring in, the lower your taxes will go. We're going to spread around the debt. And so that just helps us as a community. And it brings other businesses, which raises our tax base, which leads me to this. Beersford, Vermillion, Platte, Winter, they've got a whole different tax base level because of what they have for industry and what they have for tourism, hunting especially in Platte and Winter. And so they've got a third penny sales tax that they can utilize to pay for the majority of their pool. And we just don't have that, in front of us. We just don't have that here in Lennox. It's a little bit different. I want to squash the fears about Lennox growing so rapidly. It's never going to happen like that. It's not going to grow like T. It's not going to grow like Harrisburg. We're too far off the interstate. It's great. I want Lennox to be a little piece of Americana in the middle of the Northern Prairie. That's what I want. And I want great streets and great roads and great infrastructure and just a community we can be proud of. And it's going to be up to the community to work together with the school, to work together with the development corp, to work together with the city council in order to get there. And that's my overarching goal. And we've got to think about this 40, 50 years from now. I just noticed there's a sign on here that says class of 1955. That was the last time they had to decide on a pool design. That's a long time ago. And now we're asked to do this, which has changed. It's different. And so that's kind of where we sit currently. So these next 4 slides are going to deal with our capital plan, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. But in our 5-year capital plan, which we put together about a year ago, obviously there's a lot of infrastructure issues we're trying to take care of. I don't know if you noticed this or not, and funny that I grew up here and didn't really realize this until I became a city council member, until I moved back here. Like, Lennox was built in a swamp. Like, we're the New Orleans of the Midwest. It is. I mean, you come off the Klondike and you start going downhill until you get to Senex. And then you start to go back uphill. Well, physics tells you that water flows like gravity, people, and it just kind of sits here. So we got to, work on pumping all that out of here. That's trouble. And we haven't really had a plan of fixing the infrastructure in terms of the sewer system. Water, we're fine. Sewer system below our streets, they are bad shape. And we haven't touched them since the 30s. There should be a plan moving forward, like, okay, we're going to take care of this piece, and a maintenance. It's just really tough to do it, and that's kind of where we're at. I will tell you this, and you might not believe me, but infrastructure-wise, with what we're trying to do, we're ahead of Harrisburg and T. Like below the streets, because they just kind of band-aided also, and water rates and sewer rates, and they're just going to start to get jacked up. And I'm like, well, I don't want to live anymore. Let's go to Lennox. Because we're the next community to move south, really. And so I look forward to welcoming those residents. So this is where we were at. In 2018, we're looking at Central Basin Project. In 2019, phase 3 of that. I'll show you that in a couple other slides. We've got in there in 2020, a Boynton Avenue redo up there, most of you live there long enough. Boynton, that's north. And then in 2021, in our 5-year plan, was this new pool. Like, we were going to work on this or have something done by 2021, 2022. That is in hopes this one could limp for another 4 years. But that's not going to happen. So the reality is here that that just isn't going to work. The black here shows you the recent improvements. I live on Academy Street. This is Garfield, 5th, Academy and 4th. They redid that. Obviously, they redid Highway 17. We've redone 7th, and now obviously they're working on Main Street. The ones in the lights are kind of our next items. Central Basin 2 will go here. Central Basin 3 will go here. And we feel like when we can fix that infrastructure, which is new water, new sewer, sidewalk, curb gutter, that'll help with our infrastructure issues. Because we feel we've got a big problem there that we're trying to fix. These other 2 priorities, they're not as high as a priority as these 2, and that's why these 2 are next. The good news is, about a month ago, our city received, some pretty good grant dollars to fix some of our infrastructure. I mean, I think we received the most money out of any community there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Which is great, because we can use that grant money for those infrastructure improvements. Somebody asked, well, why don't we get grant money for the pools? Awesome idea. Trust me, we've looked. Okay? 15 years ago, there was a lot of grant money to build pools. That no longer exists. South Dakota Game Fish and Parks has a matching grant. We can get about $75,000 to match that grant. There's $150,000. We plan on going to get that? Absolutely. So we're looking in other places, but it takes a lot of money to build and to invest in something like this. And we're trying to build, well, $2.9 million seems like a lot of money. It is. Our original plan, the Westerman plan, was about $4.5 million. And I'm like, that's way too big. We don't need that. So let's cut that. And $1 million and a half is going to be too small. Is it okay for the next decade? Absolutely. But is it okay 40 years from now? Probably not. And so if you go talk to T, which I have, they're like, we built this thing, it was too small. And they built it 15 years ago, and they're kicking half the kids out here today to let more kids in. And so we're trying to build for the future, and it's really tough for some people to look that far down the road. But it's definitely an investment. So with that, I'm going to ask, this is our financial information estimate in terms of the bond. And before we discuss that, I'm going to ask Brittany to come forward, and she'll come to speak to, just as a parking board representative. And then we'll go back to that financial plan, which is, I know, the majority of why you're here, and we'll get all those questions answered in regards to this bond. Brittany?
I'm going to take this to a little bit different focus from what's been said so far. First of all, good evening. My name is Brittany Maurer. Can you hear me okay? I'm a member of the Park and Recreation Advisory Board. And as a member of that board, one of my biggest goals is to help provide activities that create a greater quality of life for the citizens of this town. So I just want to take a moment tonight, not as a board member, but personally on a level as a parent and as a fellow citizen of Lennox, to share with you what I believe a new pool would mean for our community. Having access to a community pool was a big part of my life growing up. I remember when my parents made their final move when I was in 6th grade. We settled in a small town called Ipswich, which actually reminds me a lot of Lennox. Prior to the move to Ipswich, my siblings and I had been on the summer swim team, so a pool was a must-have in our choice of town. I remember spending every summer day riding my bike to the pool to meet my friends, enjoy a snack from the concessions, swimming away the afternoon until it was time to ride our bikes home for supper. I remember anxiously awaiting the year I turned 16 so I could spend my summers lifeguarding and teaching swimming lessons. Many of those children that I taught swimming lessons to went on to lifeguard at the same pool. Thinking back now on how much of my childhood was spent at the community pool, I don't know what the kids in my hometown would have done all summer long, every year, if we did not have a pool. I believe a swimming pool is the heart of a small community every summer. I feel as though Lennox has not been the same this summer, and that piece of the community has been missing. There has been an absence of laughter and smiling faces as children used to ride by my house on their bikes with swimsuits and towels on their way to the pool. While you consider your support for the pool project, I want you to think about what a community pool would mean for the future of Lennox. When my husband and I moved here 8 years ago, we had many choices in small communities to call home. In our search, we had a few things on our list, including, did it have that small town feel? Would our children get a good education? And did it have a pool to spend our summers? I would like to ask you tonight, what brought you to Lennox to call home? Was it the sense of community you felt while attending the 4th of July celebration? Maybe it was the tight-knit community, the size of just 2,000, where you could feel safe raising your children. Whatever it was that brought you here and is keeping you here, let's make that a reality for other families who are considering a move to Lennox. Let's not send our own children on the road to neighboring communities in the summer. Let's keep them here. Let's get them outside, away from all the screens. Let's have them play with their friends and ride bikes to school in the summer, or to the pool in the summer. Let's allow our teenagers the opportunity to work right here in Lennox and our children to be taught swimming lessons right here. Let's bring in young families and show them what our small town has to offer. I think we have somebody that's going to speak on behalf of the bond, but before that, before we do our question and answer portion of the evening, I just want to end with one final thought. If this bond vote does not pass, how many years, summer after summer, will our children be searching for things to do? Spending time inside on screens, traveling to the neighboring towns in search of things to do, year after year, awaiting the reality of a community pool. However, if this bond vote passes, we will only have one summer left without a pool. Already this spring, during this school year, our children will be able to watch the progress and anticipate in excitement the new pool opening. What would that pool mean for our children, for the future of Lennox, and for the place that we call home? Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. And with that, Rich, do you want to introduce the bond guy or?
I think Cody's here to take a question.
Okay.
Why don't we just open up the questions for everyone?
Well, we'll open up the questions. Amanda, do you want to field these tonight?
Okay, yes, sir.
I have one question. We have a lot of elderly people that live in this town, they have all their life, fixed income. How does that, how are we able to pay them 20 every month? That's, but
So you're saying that we have a lot of elderly people in the community, and how are the elderly going to afford to pay for
everyone
this?
on fixed income,
Okay,
and it's, considering you to pay $300 for the school, or to end up having to get medication, or food to put on the table. What's the answer you got for that?
How did the other towns fund their pools that you were talking about?
the other communities
Yes.
on the slide. Brock, do you have any of that information? Brock's done a lot of research on these other swimming pools.
The majority of them either went with a 30-penny sales tax, and in those communities, they've got hotels. That's the big one. And then they've also got some restaurants. And so the majority, like I'm talking 80-90% of it came off a 30-penny sales tax. Winter, I know this was 15 years ago, bonded to be bonded, and when we get into what the bond is specifically, they bonded and had an X number, I don't know what the number was. The residents weren't uber happy about it, but the bond passed, barely, but it passed. And then when it came time to collect on the bond, like their third penny sales tax was so high, like the number that they thought they were gonna pay was cut by 50%, 60%. You know, like I said before, like our third penny sales tax was what, 20-some a year? About $24,000 a year, which we could certainly put towards a pool. When you're looking at 2.9 million, that doesn't hold it. No pun intended, it doesn't hold a lot of water. So that's kind of a different situation. That's kind of a situation that makes this unique. Groton, the $2.6 million pool, they fundraise a boatload. I want to say $1.5 million. And I don't know if they bonded the rest. I talked to a gal that headed up the fundraising, and she goes, "I'll never do that again." Because they sold everything. Every weekend there was something for sale. They talked to farmers. Farmers donated, wagons of grain. I mean, it was, she said, everything. And the people of the community kind of rallied around it, and they got it done. I don't know how long that specific process took, but, it wasn't done in a year and a half.
Can you answer my question?
Repeat it again, will you?
We have people that are in the community that live here all their life, and they're on fixed income. Now, for them to turn around and have to pay, say, $300 a month, it's fine.
No, 225 a year.
A year, excuse me. And that depends on either having their medication or food on the table, what's going to happen with that.
Well, you gotta go home. I mean, that's the democratic
So
process.
that's the answer to your question.
Yeah, I don't know what else we've done.
I know how incredibly expensive it is to dig a hole, so that's the part of the reason of building it where it currently is. Now, I've heard things like the soil is really bad or whatever. Well, the pool's been there 60 years, so, just kind of tell me, obviously, I'm thinking that the soil, that's kind of a rumor and that was an average. The soil, at that spot, I don't know if the soil goes bad,
There will be a certain amount of excavation that will have to take place to remove all that bad soil, and then we will bring in good soil, good rock, and make sure that base of that swimming pool is up to specifications and sufficient for what we need.
One of the issues, again, to go back to the flood and go to the soft thing, is our groundwater. When we raise our groundwater levels pretty high. And that causes problems with freeze thaw. Okay, so this old pool, I don't know if did it have anything to pump stuff out from underneath the pool? It did it? The new design now will have drain tile and other things that remove that groundwater away from underneath that pool. Sent to a pipe somewhere, storm sewer, sent out of the pipe.
What depths there's zero depth entrance and there's a lap pool. What kinds of depths of pool are we looking at?
So basically, the pool will be a zero depth entry like a beach you walk into, so it's a real nice, gracious entry for kids and actually adults as well. It's a easy way to get into it. Then it's the water depth for the diving board, because the diving board, as David talked about, was a really important component to kind of carry on the history of the pool. They wanted to make sure there was a diving board. So the diving board requires a minimum depth of 12 feet to be able to function correctly. So the maximum water depth in the pool will be 12 feet. But again, to construct it correctly, there'll be the under slab reinforcement and geotechnical conditioning to make the soils so they're not as expansive or settling and things like that. So it'll be a little bit deeper beyond those structures.
And then down at, and the zero depth, that's like about 3 feet, so.
So the zero depth, I have right here.
Can you just go backwards up there?
Yeah, so basically right here, right here is a zero depth beach, you know, and so it's gently slopes from 0 down to 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, and then right here where the lap swimming lanes are, it's 3.5 feet. So that provides for good lap swimming, but it also provides for like water aerobics and other types of activities for, you know, water fitness and wellness activities. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
So, when Rob was talking about the 5-year plan and whatnot, why is it that before this finally now comes down to us closing the pool, why couldn't we fundraise like these other cities did for those long times? Seeing that we knew that there was this issue already lingering, and it was ultimately going to come down to having to close the pool for summer in order to rebuild the pool. Why couldn't we start the fundraising hardcore way back when in order to avoid this time?
From my understanding, this is prior to me being here, but there has been a significant amount of fundraising or an attempt at fundraising. There's been a group of a pool committee who spent many years doing fundraisers, and I can't speak to the group and what they did, but if anyone else wants to address that question.
Where is the money that,
The money that they raise is still with the city,
and how much is that?
$35,000. That money came from fundraising from this group.
I'm just kind of confused because I work here and I'm a fairly young couple with kids myself. I just don't feel like I've been hit as far as the fundraising aspect. Like, I feel like we've been totally overlooked on that. So, yeah, I'm kind of questioning where is this all coming from? You know, now we're getting hit. Yeah, we could, in my eyes, I would have gladly paid more for a pool pass or daily rates, you know, at the pool, if that helps compensate where we're at in Nashville.
And Brock's been on the committee in the past.
There was a pool committee put together in 2008 after a report came back from this old pool. And that report said this pool was a little bit in trouble. I can't speak for what the council decisions they made in the past, like, I wasn't there and I have no idea. Should they have done that? Absolutely. Did it happen? No. And you can't, it's just really, and I don't like it either. But I said this last night, I didn't make it much of a point tonight. Like, I wish I could fly around the world backwards and spin this thing and start over. We can't. And so to say, well, we should have. So they tried to do that, and there have been some efforts to like fundraise, and the city probably should have set aside some money building into, just like, I mean, Platt did that. Their city set aside between, golly, $90,000 and $150,000 a year for probably 4 or 5 years. And yeah, you got a nice little kitty there. But we just didn't do that. And so these fundraisers, there were like 2 or 3 different pool committees. And because this one just kept being up, we're going to reopen this one more year. We're going to reopen this one more year. People with the funders are like, that new pool's never coming. Because we're just going to reopen. And we're going to reopen, and we're going to reopen. Well, reality is now hit.
What I'm thinking is, that was from the old plan on Westerman Park, where they were going to redo this whole thing,
Sure.
move the pool. A lot of people weren't for that.
Sure.
So they couldn't get the fundraising going.
Sure. I think the reality of the fact that this one isn't open and now we've come to this point, like a big fundraising push is in the making. I mean, that's going to happen. Because I don't want to, I think the 225, 100, that's a lot of money for some people. Like Mike said, I mean, I don't disagree with that. And to get to a point where we can try to drop that number is going to take a big time fundraising effort of some sort. It would be great to have 500,000 or 750,000 fundraised, because then that 225 number, that comes down to like 150. It's just that's going to kind of be the plan here moving forward, whatever, you know, depending on what happens on the 22nd.
Okay, I guess my next thing, sorry, is consulting, Stockwell, engineering, all their expertise and everything, but how are we supposed to, I'm questioning the city and their budgeting is, okay, so now we're stuck with having to build a new pool, which is fine, whatever, it is what it is. How are we to trust that the money that we're now having to be questioned if we're gonna pay for it, how are we gonna know that our money is gonna be supported with any of the payment agreements? Let's say something happens, there's a big old hole now in the same spot or in the same area, now what's gonna happen? Are we gonna have to force our taxes up more, pay out of pocket? Where's that extra money gonna be? Are Stockwell gonna fix that on behalf of this project?
You're gonna have to, I know this is hard to do. You're just gonna have to trust that we know what we're gonna do here moving forward. And I know that's gonna be tough for some of you to swallow. And look, there are gonna, I hope, I will be the first to say it, like, I want complete transparency on everything we're doing in City Hall, or in City Council. Pool, streets, whatever we're doing. And to be able to say, this is how much money we've raised, this is how much money we've raised. And it's, trust me, I'm not gonna let that money go anywhere else. And I know people on the council, most of the people on the council that I've talked to, it's the same thought.
Well, I guess I just don't want us as a city to be in a spot like with the Denny Sanford, we have to go on the siding. That's a whole
Sure.
separate ballgame.
Sure.
But I just don't want us to be stuck in that kind of situation where, okay, now what do we do? We're out another summer without a pool, this brand new that we just had 2 years ago situation.
I have a question. Two things. So, I'm just wondering why is it just the Lennox residents? Why can't it be a township, since the people in the township are going to be coming to Lennox? Why it can't be a township bond approved, like, throughout the whole township of, with the residents outside the city limits that are gonna come to the school and use it? I mean, they should be willing to work over some money, in a sense, to build this new pool. They're gonna come use it. They have kids, there's quite a few on the highway I know of that have little kids that are gonna come use it. Is there a reason why the
There's
township?
discussion on pool pass prices for families, and those that are Lennox residents versus those that are outside the city limits. That's gonna be discussed. I don't know,
Do you know
I don't know what the bond issue is in terms of what a city bond, a GO bond does city-wise, or,
Versus the township?
I don't know. And we can talk to
And I
them.
think, the reality is state law governs, who we can assess those projects. As a municipality, we have our city limits, and really we only have that authority over that city limits, not the county.
And the other question I guess I had was, this $2.8 million, like, okay, if we say, okay, we'll bond this for $2.8 million, do we have to agree with the plan that you guys have? Like, okay, I'll agree to the $2.8 million, but I'm not agreeing to your plan of the pool. I believe that as a daycare provider and a few of us here, there needs to be a body of water for baby pools like there is now.
Between us three is 36 kids. So you're telling me that you have.
So I'm just wondering-
Help us watch?
I'm just wondering if there's any way we can,
Have a contained.
no, I'm like saying, I would agree to this bond, but do we have to agree to the plan in order to pass the bond?
If I can address that, like Ron stated earlier, this is just a starting point. There's gonna be a lot of public discussion with the transparency to help inform the design going forward. This was just a placeholder, because if we just put a blank page up there and say, this is where our $2.8 million is going, we're visual. Everybody needs to be able to see things. And so this was just an effort. We did have some public explorations and having the public come and tell us what they wanted. That's what David was talking about. That's how we got to where we are. But again, if this thing passes the bond, then there's going to be an open process to be able to describe what's best for daycares, citizens, everybody in the community, and so we have consensus before it ever starts to be.
So you're basically wanting to pass the bond, not necessarily the way the pool looks right now.
That's what
I mean, really.
That's what Brockett said, that basically the money is a placeholder for this tiny size pool, But whether it has a separate zero depth entry or just lap lanes or whatever, that is gonna be part of the permit process.
When we went through this process, and apparently you guys didn't get the memo on this, and I don't know if you were there or not, like, this is what we had a concept to go off of. And on, nothing on there says we need a little kiddie pool. And if that's a concern of yours, then we have to look into that.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't think it's just daycare providers.
Well, I know,
think
but I
it's
get
general.
your point. I get your point. Good question.
So you're saying if this bond does pass and everything, there's still a chance that we're gonna go with the blueprint that majority of us like? Instead of we could possibly still not get something that's a little bit more accommodating for people who have small kids.
What are some of the other cities doing? Do they have separate little pools for little kids, or is this the problem?
To speak to that one, I mean, I just know Deersford, their new pool doesn't have, they got a splash park that's right, that goes right into the zero entry. They, in my opinion, when people are watching kids, you've got so many people watching kids in this area. I mean, I don't think you can turn a blind eye at 18 inches of water. I mean, you're like, well, I can let my daycare kid, and I don't know, like, it's easier because I know they're not gonna wander off. I mean, this, to go to this, I mean, that's 1 foot, that's 2 foot, your baby pool depth is probably here. So this whole space is like a big, I mean, yeah, you get in here now, you're 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot.
There'll be some sort of barrier.
There'll be I'm assuming there's gonna be some kind of barrier there. But if it's that important to get a kiddie pool, a separate body of water for a kiddie pool, then that's,
Absolutely, not just for the sake of the little children, it's more for the sake of separating the 5-year-old to the 2-year-old. I mean, he's gonna come running through here, and he's not gonna be concerned about a little toddler running there. I mean, it's honestly for the safety of all the kids, not just from drowning, but from getting knocked over and getting hurt in the pool. You know?
Yeah, so,
Right.
And I
there's,
just speak to, I've been in school, and we have to walk in.
Right, and
There are
it,
daycare providers right there, they're watching their kids, and it works.
it does, I mean, it is easy, but when you have a bunch of them, and it's a constant thing, it's not gonna work that easy.
so again, this will be, if the bond issue passes, then this will all be discussed again. The current trend for the past 10 years has been to not have a separate wading pool, because we all realize family togetherness is a thing that's cherished today. And so what a lot of people want to do is spend time with your family in the zero depth pool. You want to be able to see their kids, maybe the whole deep in the water. And so having a safe user experience is always important, whether it's for daycare, it's for families, all of those things. And so those are the types of things that's really important for all of us to collectively come together, bring in our experiences that we've had in other pools, and say, this is what's right for Lennox for the next 40, 50 years.
You mentioned the winter pool and what that costs. I know that was built 15 years ago. That's a really nice facility too. Just looking forward, if this doesn't pass, how much would the cost increase? You know, if they're kind of set, general construction costs about 5% a year. How much could this potentially cost down the road versus what we're looking at today?
3%.
3 to 5% is what we're seeing in the construction industry and applies. This, right now for the past 3 years, we've seen that kind of escalation.
That's just construction, not factoring in interest rates would go up.
All those things got entered into that escalation factor. But right now, the construction industry seems to be pretty healthy in the northern plain areas, and we're seeing that escalation in costs.
Question, but I have a question that my neighbor had asked. He said, is this a bond issue where you're voting on money, or are we voting on a project, or is it both? Because you made it sound, in answer to her question, you made it sound like this is just kind of some nebulous thing, but we're really voting on the money. Is that correct?
We are voting on the money, correct, the 2.8 million.
We're voting on the tax increase.
Correct.
not voting on exactly that plan.
No.
That is just kind of something to show people what we might get.
Correct. And maybe we should address the design a little bit. Mitch, can you talk through that?
If we progress through the design, as this project goes forward, we go through several stages where we have preliminary design, what we call, this is what we call a concept, that this is just at this stage, just so everybody has an idea of the direction that we're heading. And this is based off of public input that we've received in the past few years. So if there's other public input that we haven't heard before, we need that interaction to help drive it. We do go through a preliminary planning process. We will further dissect the plan, and it'll be presented to the council, you know, at some point, at a given point before it goes to construction.
So, sorry, if we pass this bond, will the pool be voted on through the city or the city council members?
It will be the city, the pool design.
The pool design, like if that's a later.
That will go through the city council, they will make that decision. So your job as a resident, you need to talk to your alderman and relay your decisions to them. They will have the final say on the design, but you need to talk to your.
So how much more, if you were to put in a baby pool, how much more does that cost for a bond?
If you got rid of that turf area and put a baby pool in there.
A baby pool or whatever?
The answer is, I mean, it depends what you do. I mean, you can put in a separate wading pool at zero depth entry, and it could have no impact on the cost. Or you could have, if you separate it and two filtration systems, then you can have a $50,000 to $100,000 impact on the cost. But those are the things that we'll discuss as a public and look at weigh all those alternatives, so everybody has an opportunity to discuss that with the city council members.
The finance part, excuse me, Amanda, we have to understand something. 2.8 million is the max we're gonna bond for. We have a bond limit or debt limit on the general fund side. This is putting us right up to that window. I'm not comfortable about being that high, but this is the max that we could bond for whether this concept or if it's something else. Just remember, everything we add or what we want is gonna cost more money to this. But also realize 2.8 million is much as we can bond. We can't go to 3.2 or 3.5. That's the reality of the budget. The other side that we could do, if the folks want these other amenities, which I'm fully in favor of, that's gonna be fundraising. So wherever we go over that 2.8, it's gonna be fundraising. So I guess just to understand that aspect, we are limited on how much we can bond.
And the 2.8 is not with the slide or the equipment center, it's just the basics.
With
The pool.
Yes, does not include the water slide or the play structure.
Correct.
But there are play amenities in the pool, like little geysers and sprays and things like that, to appeal to that younger user. And again, one thing, just so we understand what this image kind of shows, there are some of those spray components in the pool, but again, where there is the other side of the zero depth entry, it's a passive area where there aren't a lot of sprays. So if you're gonna sit there with children that don't want to be sprayed and get wet, then they have a passive area that can be enjoyed, but also that provides a nice gracious access for adults that want to walk into the pool and maybe go to the lap area or doing water aerobics and not get sprayed and splashed.
Well, I have a question on the bathhouse. Now, Harrisburg got a grant for theirs because it was a storm shelter, correct?
That's another, I don't want to call it a myth. That's true. Their bathhouse cost like $1.4 million. The grant they got through the FEMA grant was about $600,000, $700,000, plus another. So yeah, they did that. It's just when you do that like that, the building cost is still going to be over what that grant will pay for, just with the specs. And from what I was told, right, Jackson, they got that partway built. It didn't meet the specs, and they had to tear it down.
Right.
But that was true. They did get that.
Yeah, her doctor probably said that when they decided at one year.
Yep.
Okay, you, sir.
Question on the capacity.
the capacity of this pool, basically, we're looking at approximately 300 people as a maximum capacity based on the water surface areas. Now, if there were 300 people in that pool, at each particular time, it would be kind of like a New York subway. A lot of people. But it has that capacity, because if you ever look at a swimming pool, 50% of the people that are in the facility, that's really the facility calculation for, because 50% at least are going to be on the deck. So you have to comply with the state health code in terms of how much water is in the pool and surface area, and that determines your toilets and showers and things that you need in the facility. So we know that, 300 people is probably at any point in time is a lot of people, but again, this is going to be a gracious pool that would service at least 150 to 200 people in a gracious manner. Did that answer your question?
Well, if you have any heating, you're not gonna have everybody swimming laps.
Okay, so in terms of the lap swimming, basically, and again, this is going to be part of that public process again to really reach out how many people want to do lap swimming, how many people want to do water aerobics, and that starts to become a scheduling opportunity. Okay, are we going to let people come in the morning when the kids aren't there to do lap swimming or water aerobics and things like that? Are we going to have an adult swim sometime during the day or adult aerobics? Or oftentimes what we're seeing in a lot of these active pools is they'll have what they call a potty break for the little kids, so they can go in and get a snack and stuff like that, and then it becomes an adult swim at that particular time. So that's more about the functioning of programming the space to appeal to all the different users in the community. Does that answer your lap swimming question?
You can't tell how really big it is.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but again, that's 75 feet in length, which was 25 yards, and there's, I want to say 32 feet in width for the same diameter. So that gave us the lap area.
Dr. Reno.
With the pool that is proposed as it is right now, in a properly prepared site, what is the life expectancy of this kind of a pool? What kind of a filter guarantee is there for the days, water is like in the pool, that will be problems that arise that are taken care of?
That's a good question. So basically, two things determine the lifespan of a swimming pool: how well it's constructed and how well it's maintained. And so, in terms of a construction warranty that you place on pools, we actually place a 1-year unconditional guarantee on the warranty on the pool. But then the industry standard is to have a 5-year warranty on the pool against cracking and leaking. And because that's what a lot of people do. If something's going to be off with the soils or something like that, usually those types of events are going to happen within that 5-year period. So, again, we want to make sure that once we have a good design, that it's easy to maintain, but it's still incumbent upon the city to be able to maintain that, winterize it properly, and things of that nature. I'll say this right now: the longest life of a swimming pool are swimming pools where they leave water in it over the winter time. We all realize how cold it gets up here in South Dakota, and if we don't have freeze thawing occurring underneath the pool, with the soils, you get better lifespan. But some communities decide we're going to drain the pool, and then it's subject to freeze thaw, and there's a lot more repair work during the summer months. But again, if this bond passes, we're going to make sure that it's easy to winterize, it's easy to maintain with good maintainable finishes. And so, to answer the follow-up, your last part of that question, how long should a pool last? We see pools that are well constructed and well maintained easily last 50 years.
Okay, so my question was $2.8 million bond for the pool itself. That's the play structure, everything like that, how many planting things and sprays.
we'll need to fundraise for those items, or the city council could choose to set money aside. We'll just have to go in that direction to get those items.
Can I also answer that question a little bit? Because in my experience, what happens, communities, once they see the ball is rolling with a real project, what we start to see happen is that major donors in a community will either donate towards reduction of the bond expense, or they'll say, I would really like this to be my name on the water slide, and they'll help fund that, or they'll set up a matching fund site.
Maybe just to add, totally more, I worked with the Winter folks back in '07 when they did that, Webster, Overage, and it always seems to be scattered where the pools are. Webster had 50,000 in their fundraising pledge. I don't know how many cookies or brownies they had sold to get to that 50,000. But everybody was over chocolate at that point. When their bond passed, they had close to 800,000 in pledge. When Mulbridge did the same thing, it's a momentum that you see that nobody wants to donate until you want to do it for yourself. And then if you have the right fundraising committee, those donations more worthy pledges. What you do is you go out and you get, say, Sunshine Food will pledge 5,000 a year for 50 years. The numbers you saw up there tonight, that 2.25 is the worst case example that you will see for a tax income. The council has a discretionary year like Leonard, who takes the triple B tax and pays for that. So your 25,000 could drop down to 200,000. If you get 100,000 in pledges, next thing you know, your debt service is only 100,000, or $100, or you start breaking it back into a couple bucks a month, however it works on that side. But it really begins with the passing of the bond. It's like I said, the worst case scenario that you'll ever pay. But once that momentum starts, I've seen it happen in multiple other communities. Grove was the same way. They go to their elevator, they ask them to donate a bushel of grain every time they drop it off. So there's unique ways to do that. But it's not just raised in 1 month or 3 months, it's raised over the course of 10 years through pledges. And that's where I think Webster, out of their $2.5 million fund, the city contributes, I think they only assess the people like 50,000 because they find these other loans.
My question's kind of along the same lines. Brock alluded to the fact that if we have more people coming into town, that our amount that we have to pay for a home or will go down. What happens if it's the opposite reaction though, and we lose businesses or lose homeowners, and our property values go up as they always do? Would I, in that situation, have to pay more? Or is my amount set at a certain amount and we have to change?
The amount is based on the valuation. Can you answer that?
Even with what's going on with the drought or statewide, we're not seeing a decrease in valuations. I think Lennox would see a 10 or 12% decrease in valuation.
And next year, probably gonna be the same.
Yeah. So as valuations go up, no levies drop. Now, if the assessor comes out and says, oh, I'm sorry, your house was assessed at 50,000 right now, I think it's worth 200, that could happen, and that's between you and the county, but typically across, you're gonna have a little inflation creep, but you're more than likely are gonna have valuation increase. Even in winter, you see valuation increase in there, those towns that are isolated. You have strong valuations, you had good commercial growth, Sunshine Days, the right things that are happening, that I would dare to say, well, you would continue to have that, where that 225 is going to be your worst case scenario.
So if I did the valuation, let's say, if I'm at a $200,000 assessed value,
Yeah.
and then next year I do improvements to my home, and it gets reassessed, and now we're at 250,000. Does that 225 on that, is that 225 now on that 250,000? Or still remaining the initial 200,000?
Right, yeah. Let's go up to like 300 per year instead of 225.
If you add to your house, and any new homes that come into the market, any new commercial buildings that come into the market will drive valuation up and decrease your mill.
I guess one of the concerns is, right now, I think Lennox is one of the highest tax rates in the area, perhaps in the state, I'm not sure what the facts are. But, you know, if we keep having such high taxes, that's gonna be a deterrent for people, to come in and purchase them. And we're not really moving forward. I've lived here for a long time, and I've seen inflation, so, you know, what cost us, looking, I'm not looking at my heart, but gosh, I just had some dental work. I'm not gonna say to anybody who's young, take care of your teeth. But beyond that, I mean, when we moved here 30 years ago, and within that time, the community has grown by maybe 300 to 400 people. And we're looking at inflation that is skyrocketing and it's going to continue. And if we don't continue on doing something about our tax base, which means build homes in the community, and even though we bring businesses in, we're gonna have to give them some kind of tax break to come into our community. So it's gonna be some years before we're really gonna realize anything later. So somehow, you know, we really, this pool of one thing is something that we all like to have. But I might like to have that escalate in my garage. But in reality, can I afford a canister? You know, so I love the community, you know, and I want to see it prosper. But in reality, we can't afford it. That's the bottom line, unless we do something and change our thoughts about how we're going to see in the future. What if something else comes up, like this lady referred to? You know, okay, so we go ahead and we approve this, which we would like to do. What happens next year if some other catastrophe occurs? Then we have to go back to the community and say, okay, we have to require more money from that. And so we don't do something to increase our tax base. We're going to continue in the same manner, and our taxes are going to continue to be unreasonable and not competitive with the rest of the communities.
Gary, do you have any comments?
I'm in agreement with that. I mean, if we had that, if we had that crystal ball to know those things, I would love it. And that way we could better plan finance. I think there's something out there that we're gonna have problems with. We are in pretty good shape as far as a lot of our parts of the city on the general fund side. Now, the infrastructure side, that's a different debt limit that we play with. And that's what we really need to spend our time on, concentrating on. Because I've got this in two different levels. The pool is a quality of life. Infrastructure is a need of life. And I would much rather spend that money on our infrastructure, protect your basements and stuff backing up. We have a good plan for that right now. Phases 2 and 3 of the capital improvement fund, or the capital improvement, or central basin, is a good example of what the state is willing to help us do. On quality of life, we don't get that support from the state. So it falls on you as taxpayers to make that conscious decision. Is that pool worth it to you on this month that's looking forward, you know, for, I haven't taken this direction easy. I mean, I'm giving direction to the council, and from my figures, this is the best case scenario citywide for all projects. Now, I know that's a little tough to grasp, but it's the big, that's my job. I've got to look at all these projects, things coming down the road, not 5 years from now, 10 to 15 homes. We have to be planning for that. I've only been here for 3.5 years. I believe in the past, it may not have been great planning for this, which puts us in this position right now. But it is what it is. I wish we had a better picture for all of you folks. But I guess you gotta dig down in your heart and think that this pool is worth it, and you can afford it. And if you can't, as Brock said, vote no.
Our local development corporation is trying to bring in more housing and business to the community in hopes to spread that tax base across. It's just, economic development isn't something that happens overnight. It does take time. But we did add a handful of homes to the community last year. There's currently, let's say I can think off the top of my head, 3 homes that are being built right now. There is another lot that someone wants to move a house into, so that progress is there. It's just slow, and we might not necessarily notice it right now, but down the road, once we have a development to the north of the community or south of Lennox, we will get there eventually. But it's just not something that we can do overnight.
Another question I have, I'll say if and when we have to rebuild, I assume the city will have the operational budget. Will there be money set aside as pool maintenance annually? So when something does happen, there's a reserve draw. Is that part of city council discussion and plan?
That is the way I operate. I've been down in Burke, we've had a couple big projects down there. First thing I did is set up a depreciation account. So when something went wrong, the money was set aside. We will have to do this for the pool. I'm trying to get more of these going on all the water, the sewer, because, yeah, we've got a wonderful water system here. But understand, those towers are going to cost us over $80,000 each to paint. I know that, and I'm putting money away for that instance, so we don't have to necessarily raise your water rate because we weren't planning for it. I am planning for it, and the pool will be the same situation. But the trick will be, where will the money come from? And it's my job to find it.
I went out and looked at the Lincoln County site today and looked at property tax assessment on the properties in Lennox and the tax on taxes that are assessed on those. And I calculated out that 225 there runs to be about 11 to 12% increase in the taxes on the homes that I looked at. I'm wondering, can you confirm that or am I off on that?
I have to do some research on that to be sure to give you an accurate answer.
Well, I wondered about, if you're gonna, if we agree to that kind of increase in our taxes, what additional assessments could, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what other kind of special assessments or things that might come along in the next, 5 years, or in the term of the bond issue, 15 years?
Each one of those, Brock, can you go to the infrastructure? Yeah. Each one of those projects will have a special assessment. I shouldn't say will have, but the council will need to decide if they're going to set a special assessment to help pay for those projects on this 5-year plan. Especially Main Street, there is a special assessment to those residents right now. The Central Basin Phase 1 project, they did special assess the residents, and I would anticipate that they would go ahead and do an assessment for Central Basin 2 and 3. So the residents who live in those areas will have that additional, possibly have that additional assessment in addition to this bond. It is, and it's reality though. There's a lot of communities that's how they pay for these projects is they need
have gone up substantially.
I've lived for 3 years, my taxes with us have gone up over $1,000.
I've gotten beat by double.
I mean, it's insane.
So-
And if they're gonna take these taxes off in 15 years, there's no way they'll come up with something else.
It's just something, it's an investment for the future, for our grandkids, our great-grandkids, depending on what age you are.
So, Mr. Bond, what type of permit conditions are we getting? Are any conditions attached to the bond? Such as if you have an early principal reduction, is there a penalty in there?
Are there any penalties or conditions associated with the bond? If we wanted to pay it off early, would there be a penalty?
We were discussing that issue today. We will be sure they're called callable bonds, so there won't be a penalty on it. Because that's how I like to operate, be sure that we can pay things off early. If the money is available, and it works very well. I mean, I had a couple projects that were scheduled for 19 years. They were callable bonds. I was able to pay them off in 9. Now, will that happen on the pool? I would love to see that, but in reality, maybe not.
And what about the rate, that is rate compared to rate? What type of rate are we getting in the bond?
Is it a fixed rate or?
Yes, this is fixed. I mean,
For the rest of the loan?
right. Yes, and that's one nice thing about the interest rate. We'll get it locked in, and it'll be the life of the loan.
That's 4% right there, about.
It's the timing. Toby, if you want to answer that one.
If you were to issue today, it might be about 2.8 to 3, or give you the buffer because you're not going to issue for several months. Our rates are such limbo right now, it all depends on when Trump is twittering. It's really goofy. The market is so fluid on that. With winter issue, it was in August of 2008, the crisis hit in September of 2008. They were close to 5%. So right now, with the interest rates, it is extremely cheap. And I know we would issue less than 3% today if you were to be able to issue it. When we sell to local investors, banks, whoever, it's, you sort of get a backhanded compliment when you try to sell local investors such low rates and a higher return, but it's, yeah.
And when I figured these numbers, I used 4%. That was kind of the going rate. And remember, these numbers were figured 6-7 months ago. Things have already changed. I'm just working on the budget right now for 2018. We've got over $5 million increase in valuation, which, how was that 225? Probably could be as low as 220 or 215. There's certain things we cannot give you exact amounts tonight. What I did is put together a picture of the worst case scenario. At least that was my goal. Now, as Toby said, interest rates are pretty volatile right now. It would be smart to be getting it done right today, but naturally we can't. But with, if Washington don't blow up, hopefully we keep that under control and the interest rates don't go too wild before we get this done.
Are there, I'm not entirely sure exactly how it works, are there any current bonds the city holds that are coming to mature anytime soon that are gonna kind of offset this a little bit? It'd be a lot easier to absorb another $225 a year when you got another bond falling off, you wouldn't even see it.
Are there any other bonds that are coming?
No,
Not in the near future?
no. What we've got right now is basically SRF loans through the infrastructure. Now, those are 20, 30-year notes, and that really scares me. When you look at that amortization schedule, maybe had a $2.5 million, by the time you pay it off in 30 years, you've got another $1.5 million in interest alone. So the interest is, and these are 2.5% to 3% SRFs. So it really scares me if we don't get it in this lower market, we get 4.5 to 5%. And that part really concerns me right now. But Toby promises that. No,
the amount of interest we're gonna pay is substantial.
So after you, this past, when you get your line, you want to get all the money right now, and then you will next year, or how does that?
So we can,
The good and the bad of a bond, the good is it's a fixed rate, it's a cash flow time of that interest rate today. The bad is I deposit $2.8 million into the account today, so there's a fragile timing between what Stockholm feels comfortable with the projections of the project to when I issue, so that you can take those variables out.
So we come back.
Yes, you can reinvest that to match the drawdown of the construction, which we do. You have a little negative arbitrage, but it's, the construction of the pool is probably what we must.
So, I mean, what nobody's getting at, we want to have a plan to go into the construction, you know, and bid for like a contract, which is more, or actual cost of before we go into this project, I guess.
Yeah.
And you're ready.
A little bit. I'm never politically correct or financially efficient, but I can tell you at the moment in time we're in right now, if this does not pass, the financial chances of passing in the future dwindle, because that 5% inflation on $3 million is going to eat faster than anything you can say. We witnessed it in Woolridge, where they did not have the construction plans ready to go in January, February, rather they issued them in July. What was supposed to be a $3.2 million pool became about a 4.2, and sets everything backwards on that point. There's no better time, if you are to enter the market, you want to have the plan ready to go in January, so you can hit that. Otherwise, that inflation will just eat you a lot, regardless of.
If it passes, who has control of putting out the money, the 2.8, or doesn't, who we paying the 2.8 million up? Doesn't it city council that pulls it out to pay the people, or to pay the, where's it go? You know what I'm saying?
the city council will designate where the money will
So
sit.
they'll be in charge of pulling it out to pay people, or do whatever, wherever it needs to go.
Right, the staff will prepare the vouchers and the city council will approve them. So however they decide to set that money, you know, whatever account they decide to put that money in, the staff prepares, the council approves. Any other questions?
The 35,000 that supposedly was raised for the school issue, is that still available, or is that going to disperse elsewhere?
That money is still available. I did put together a slide. Okay.
I can address that, I guarantee that money is there. I've heard that from so many, since I've been, and maybe in the past it has happened. But that is one thing that I take very serious on any of the funds that is sitting there in city coffers isn't taken care of. As I know some of you are aware of what happened last year with the football field. And I heard that all that money is gone. And that just made me so upset that people, that they don't go out and ask the right people. There hasn't been a single person who's come into my office and asked about it. It's the stuff out on the streets, and that is where a lot of people have problems. A lot of stuff that uninformed public is, I consider, very dangerous in a situation like this.
There was $200,000 that the council decided to set aside, and then that money was used in the old football field lawsuit. Jerry is intending to replace that money this year. So as you can see, we do have the $35,000 that the community raised, $215,000, which will be back in that fund at the end of the year. We're gonna try, we will set aside the remainder of the pool budget from were some expenses in the beginning of the year, and then we did employ the lifeguards over the summer, so that money is coming out of the pool fund. So I'm estimating $25,000 will be left at the end of the year, which we will then put towards this bond, or towards the cost of the pool, I should say. We're estimating, if the council approves, to put in $67,000 in operating costs that we would have paid in 2018 to run the pool. And then we do have the third penny sales tax, and what's in that fund currently is about $66,000 as of the end of July. So all of that money totaling $408,000, we will have set aside at the end of the year to help towards this cost. Any questions on that?
So that takes your pool from 2.8 to 2.4, and it's gonna lower that 2.5. And the plan is, I mean, if the bond passes, like how much money do we pay? And I wanna go out with money in February, to get this done, but it's not gonna cost you $225. Well, I wanna cut that in half. And if it doesn't pass, then we have to find out, what's the community willing to do? Is it 100,000? Is it 150, 100,000? Is it zero? That's what we'll cross that bridge after, on August 23. But the plan is to have some funding, if we had to put it all in the community, that's your 2.8. That's taxing the community, and that's the only funding we have. But we're hoping to have at least this, and maybe some more, that we can contribute from a city standpoint, and then other fundraising efforts, whether that's $250,000, $500,000. It'd be awesome to have a big donor walk in, look, I'll kick off the campaign, here's $250,000. I don't know who that is, maybe you know somebody. There are other foundations, whether that's Rivera or Sanford, they're gonna want signage. But they've got community funds for things like this. I mean, it's $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year, but the plan is not to put it all on you. That's a tough one to swallow, I get it. I mean, the pool's open 65 days a year, I get it. No municipal pool makes money, zero. It's gonna lose money, and that's how pools, it's just a quality of life thing. And at the end of the day, I would love to see it, and I've got young kids, and if the vote is no, the vote is no, and it's a democratic process, and I'm not gonna be spitfire and mad. I just wanna work and see what the community wants, and try to find a way to get it done in some way, shape, or form, sooner rather than later, only because it's gonna cost less sooner than later.
And Toby, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we can do some fundraising with this money in addition to anything else we can raise between now and the time that we close on the bond, would that then reduce the cost that we would actually bond? Is that understandable?
Do you have a possible date for that? I mean, like if we start construction, let's say we start construction in July 2018, when does that bond start?
If we issued the debt, say this fall, the first time you would see it on the tax rolls would be taxes payable June of 19. Because you have to have the assessment by October 1st of this year. So in 18, you're not going to see that go up.
So we would have 18 months, would that be about 18 months to fundraise, or? That's kind of what I'm asking.
For fundraising, you probably want to limit it to 3 to 4 months to get your pledges in, because there's only so many people at a time.
We would want to have a set dollar amount prior to the closing of the bond.
Correct. And then for the amenities, what you do is, like you said earlier, Mitchell, they said you want the slide, it's the Johansson slide, and that's what you pay for. Stockwell, all the part, all goes out. So you get your basic pool at 2.8, and whatever amenities you want on, people can buy it.
Kansas tried twice with the pool, they tried to buy it twice. And it failed both times, I think the second time they did, they made some cuts. I think, I'm losing 60%, they got 54% maybe. But there's a guy that came into their community, just talking to a fundraising committee over there, and like in 11 months, they raised $1 million. in Canton, which would be similar to us. I mean, it's a little bit different because being from the highway, the business is there a little bit different. But a really strong fundraising campaign, knowing now we're in. You know, before it's like, well, we can fix the school, and now it's either nothing or this. A big fundraising push is something when we're going to have a city council or some kind of fundraising body, whether it does the Lions Club, Lions Community Foundation, you know, finding ways to get funding. That's going to be our number one item, to lower that to 25. I mean, I don't like that number either. I live in town, I'm paying that, I don't want to pay that, but I want to try to at least cut that down.
How many people is this school hold?
300.
This one right here?
Oh, this one here,
So it's a little less than, I think, 260 something. Yeah, by the state health department.
and typically during one, like an hour time or 2 hour time, it's typically not 300. That's the duration of the day. There's 200 or so that walk through the gate.
And again, I don't think that was ever seen 260 people at any one point in time. And that's kind of the market value. You know, today's consumer wants different things like the zero debt trees and other spray plate things. So that's why you see, you know, the popularity of some of your neighbors.
Do they tear this pool off and replace and go in it? Let this particular spot
The pool would be removed and then, you know, sort of conditioned so you know which structure support where it needs to get the bond.
And destruction of this pool is in that.
We don't want to see it removed any sooner because of the safety issues. Right now, it's got a fence around it, people can't get in it, so it's secure, and we don't want to have it in the area. Any other questions? Comments?
You have absentee ballots over now.
We do. You can come by the office, Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30, and Friday, 7:30 to noon, and absentee votes. Up until the day before the election.
In my experience, these kind of elections are won by absentee ballots because no people never forget to vote. Yes, people always have something come up and they might assume it. So for the yes people, I would highly recommend the absentee ballots. For the no people, the election is the 23rd.
There is an example of non-independent. I don't know what your definition of independence is, or of transparency. Where I come from, they have specific definitions, and I don't see that in any of this group that speaks to us.
Yes, sir.
We are voting strictly on the bond issue. We are not voting on the pool design. How much input is there going to be from the community? How long is this going to take before we have, if this were passed? How much input is going to be allowed? I mean, we're talking transparency. How much input is there going to be from the community on this design? What is shown to us right now is not what everybody wants.
Mitch, how much time do we need to? Oh, in the scope of the design, that if this bond passes, we would like to go to bid in January, February. So we will have until September until.
Yeah, so I mean, once the bond passes, we're in the design of discussion. I mean, if the city thinks that we're hearing at another public meeting, get input on the project would be good, and we can sure to post that. You know, we would do, we have a way of doing that, engaging with the public, it's just, we need, if we really have that much input, we need people to be, and that's kind of what we struggle with. Asking people to attend those meetings so we can hear that input. But yeah, if we see it being necessary, we surely voice it on the public.
I would say shortly after the bond, if it's passed, we would jump right into those type of meetings so we can get something determined, more than likely by at least email, phone call, stop in, and we can at least be jotting those items down, what you feel you'd like to see in the swimming pool. Or anything else for that